So it's not theory anymore. And I've done it 4 times in my own career. Each career I had was different than the one before. And it has worked for me, and worked for all my clients, so I know it works. So that's how the campaign is designed. Other part of campaign design and execution is just staying on track. You will always get distracted. You will always get naysayers. You will always get, no callbacks, no this, no that. But even in tough times, if you have a plan, if you have these 135 names in the funnel all the time, and if you diligently execute it, you will land faster than even you realize, and people have, even in this economy. Okay, let's go to the next one. Cover letters is something that I'm very passionate about, especially for A targets. And I look at cover letters as your closing statement, just as in a court of law, if you're presenting a criminal case or legal case. You can make all the arguments, but the final argument is your closing argument. And the lament that I have is most people recognize the cover letters need to be written, but they take the easy way out. So what they do is they summarize parts of the resume on the top part, and they look at the job description, copy and paste the job description at the bottom part, in the bottom part of the letter. That's their cover letter. Basically, when you send such a cover letter, you're giving 2 messages. I'm too lazy to look you up to see what your pain points are and how I can bring value to you. And the second, and even more important point when you send such a cover letter, is that I have summarized my resume right here. You don't need to open up to read my resume. That's the message you're sending. Because in the top part, you say, this is what I've done. And when you take that route, you're basically frustrating yourself and the reader. And this is why recruiters tell you not to write cover letters, because it's a waste of time, of the reader, of the sender, of everything else. Creates paper. But if you write a good cover letter that addresses the points that are pain points for the company, and it resonates with them, that will get action. And I've done this so many times that I can't even count anymore. And in important cases for A targets, especially if you're prospecting, I send the cover letter and the resume by overnight or FedEx or something else that's very different from how everybody else sends. But just because you're sending FedEx, don't assume that it'll be ready. It has to have, when it goes to, there's a, I think McClellan said that, one of the journalists, that media is the message, or medium is the message. And here the medium is FedEx. So if you send a C letter FedEx, you're basically mocking the whole process. So don't do that. Send a great letter in a great way that makes an impact. Research is very important. Talking to people is important. I had one client where he was one of the many participants or many candidates, and it was for a training for salespeople job at a major company here in the Silicon Valley. And he was one of the 3 finalists. So I told him, you can bag this job if you go talk to 4 or 5 actual customers of the company and see what their pain points are when they talk to the salespeople, because this guy is going to teach salespeople, train the salespeople. So he went to the website. The customers' names were right on the website with testimonials. There were like 18 or 19 names. So he took each one of the names. And out of those, I think 5 actually talked to him. The rest said, we can't talk to you because, we don't know who you are or whatever. But those 5 people gave him such insightful information about how the salespeople treat them and how would like to see them treated. He took that input in the final interview and got the job. And he gave inputs even the hiring manager was not aware of. It surprised even the hiring manager. So that's the power of doing impeccable research. And rather than sending resumes to 50, 60 companies, if you focus on one and do this the right way, your odds increase not just tremendously, but you become a prize candidate because nobody else had done this. And they were surprised. The company, even company executives were surprised how much information you brought that they could have gotten by just talking to the customers. prospectively sent to higher-ups or respond to hiring manager. When you're prospecting in a company, my formula that has always worked for me is 2 levels above the hiring manager. Or if there is a job posting, then you respond to the hiring manager. And I normally respond by meeting the requirements, pasting your resume and the cover letter in the digital window that they give you, because you have to comply with what they're asking because it's a posted job. And then in addition, I will send them a mailed letter, physically well printed on a nice stock with mailing address and a stamp on the envelope, a full unfolded letter and a resume, because nobody does that. And and say with a post-it note written on the top that I have already applied online as required, and this is for your information, and then follow up, and I'll show you how to follow up with that. This works with far greater impact than just applying for an open job, and this has worked even in this economy. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Networking is an integral part of this, and it's very important to, first of all, have good presence on LinkedIn. I hope each one of you is well represented on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has become a very powerful force, more so than most realize. In fact, in the current issue of Business Week, there's an article about how, not current issue, I'd say July 6th, with Steve Ballmer's photo on, the cartoon on the front page, on the front cover. There's an article about how Monster and Dice and everything else has, lost their business to LinkedIn, because how LinkedIn has managed their business in terms of the integrity of the candidacy and how the whole process gives them a well-screened candidate to the companies that are interested in it. And so a couple of things I want to say about that is you need to manage your profile, you need to manage the keywords, and you need to get at least 6 recommendations on LinkedIn. And those 6 recommendations should be what I call a 360. That means 1 boss or 2 bosses, 1 or 2 peers, 1 or 2 people if you had direct reports, 1 or 2 customers, and then everything else, your friends, your mother, your father, whoever else you want. But most people have all the recommendations in large numbers written by their friends, and they write for their friends, and their friends write for them. And to me, that has no value. So if you do this 360, it has a tremendous value. And so what people screening through LinkedIn profiles look for is the strength of your profile, the strength of your recommendations, and how well you represent yourself. And that has become a very powerful force. If you're taking LinkedIn casually, increase your network count on LinkedIn, depending on what function you are in. If you're in marketing, I expect you to have at least 300 connections, and so forth. You need to get enough recommendations that are well-stocked, 360. And then you need to manage your profile constantly, see how many people are looking at your profile and how many are actually calling you. That gives you a good indication of how strong your profile is and how you can manage it. Rely on the network to open doors. That's a given. But do not rely on the contacts to do your job. This is what people fall into trap many times. They say, I already have somebody at McAfee. He's going to take care of me. Wrong. All that person will do for you is connect you to the hiring manager, and then let that person get out of the way, because normally they will get in the way. You cannot get hold of them. They don't have time to call the manager, whatever. But once they open the door for you, tell them that, Joe, I will keep you apprised. Let me contact the manager directly. Do not rely on the contacts to do your job for them.